All right. And we are live. Welcome, you guys. Welcome, welcome. I think we're getting started pretty close to on time. This is awesome. Let me go ahead and check settings really fast. Let me see. Audio looks good. Video looks good. Excellent. Made it. Welcome. Welcome. Just getting started, so you have perfect timing. Hope you guys are having an excellent weekend so far. Already got a number of questions and people rolling in, which is fantastic to see. Hello, hello, hello. New subscriber here. Welcome. Thank you for joining. Go ahead and jump in here in just a moment. Actually, you know what? We're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to go ahead and jump on in. Like I said, there's already a number of questions, and just at first glance, really good questions. So I am excited. Again, I hope you guys are having an excellent Sunday. Happy Sunday. Hope it is good and relaxing for each of you. Appreciate you being here for another round of live Q&As. We do this every Sunday. We go live. We talk about the law. And as always, whole point of this channel, I'm here to help answer your questions, give more clarity and understanding to these teachings so that you can best apply them to your circumstances and your life so that you can create the best world possible. A couple quick things to announce before we dive on in. Playlists. I've had a lot of people request playlists to make it easier to browse by different topics. So that is officially a thing. I am going to be going through and creating more as I go along, but for example, if you need a boost of inspiration, the first one I made was a success story playlist, which I have linked down in the description box below. So if you perhaps are in a funk or you just want some inspiration or feel-good stories of success with the law of assumption, go ahead and check that out. Also, if you go under my playlist tabs, I have a few others broken down by topic, including revision, the state akin to sleep, how to deal with the 3D, all of that nature. So enjoy. 1 second, guys. Okay, here we go. Sorry, I thought we had a little snag here, but we are good. Other than that, if you are interested in any of my resources or programs or interested in possibly working together, I have links to all that information on my coaching programs, the waitlist for one-on-one coaching, which I will be opening up next week, going into next week. So definitely make sure to get on that list if you want more info on how to sign up. And yeah, I believe that was everything. Let me just double check my notes. Yep, that was everything. Let's go ahead and jump on in. Okay. Hey, Missy, hope you're doing well. Thank you. I hope you are as well. Do you recommend reading Seth/Jane Roberts? Jane Roberts, wasn't she the, correct me if I'm wrong, but that was I believe she was a medium? And the, I don't know what you would call it. She was channeling a being that went by Seth. If I'm pretty sure that's who you're referring to. The teachings are very similar. There's not in 100% agreement with everything, but again, the teachings are very similar to what Neville taught, and that's because these teachings have been around for thousands of years. Neville Goddard was certainly not the only person who taught about consciousness and being the operant power of your reality. I would recommend. I haven't read anything from Jane in a really long time, so again, I'm if I am thinking about the same person, then yes, it is worth checking out. You guys are so sweet. Oh, good to see so many familiar faces and new faces alike. I love it. Sorry, I'm just saying a couple part here. I'm manifesting a specific person, and I've seen that I just happen to have many unwanted thoughts, but there are some wanted thoughts too, which align with the manifestation. How can I sort this? Um, Basically, I've been blocked everywhere, and I want to manifest contact. Well, I want a relationship to come later, as it'll help me build faith. I affirm but get no visuals. What do I do? Speaking of signs, I observe when I start feeling good, I tend to get lots of signs like her name, etc. But now that has vanished, which worries me a bit. Oh, boo. Sorry it's been stressful for you. A couple things here to break down. First of all, you're not alone in this. I've been here myself. It is definitely not. The SP journey can feel rather intense at times since we have nothing to go off of in the 3D as far as the 3D is concerned. And that's how we're conditioned. We're conditioned to see evidence, see some kind of measurement of our progress, which, again, we don't have that gauge. The 3D is a terrible, terrible gauge as to our progress with this. So that's where we lean in faith. That's where we lean into building faith and trust in yourself as the operant power. And also how you feel, how you are reacting. You mentioned having some unwanted thoughts, some wanted thoughts. This is pretty typical. A lot of times we will sort of find ourselves going back and forth a bit, and that is normal. How do we sort this? I mean, that is the entire objective here. And what I mean by that is the entire objective is to change our beliefs and assumptions around what we desire. It's the change in self-concept, right? So when it comes to a specific person, I want to begin to identify as the version of me who is in this loving, committed relationship with this person. And that's the whole point of the imaginal acts. That's the point of the techniques going to the end. It's so that we start to really embody it. So we start to really put ourselves into the state or version of ourselves where we are already with that person, specifically that feeling state. So if you are noticing a lot of double-mindedness, we want to be mindful of when you are affirming, are you able to feel it? Is it enough? Is it conjuring that feeling of being that person? Is it eliciting any kind of internal response? That's really the first thing that we want to ask ourselves. And sometimes it takes experimenting and exploring and playing with different ways of imagining to really get that feeling, really get to that feeling state. I'm not saying there's any right or wrong way to do that. Everyone is going to have their preferred ways of going to that end. But yeah, I would start with, if you haven't seen my fundamentals playlist, my manifestation fundamentals playlist, I would check that out, because I really, in that playlist, try to lay down the foundation to this law and steps that we want to take if we're new to this. Understanding states of consciousness, understanding living in the end, all of that. So I would definitely start there as far as how to change your self-concept. All right. Hi, Missy. I'm a senior in college and have been trying to manifest a high-paying job in New York City. I visualize offer emails, my family and partner congratulating me, and I repeat affirmations daily. It's making me so anxious because I keep getting interviews at top firms, but I feel stuck at the final stage without an offer, even though sometimes I firmly believe they'll give me an offer. And I thought the interview went perfect. I really want my dream job in New York City to find me and come through soon, and I'm not sure what to do next. Mm. I know it can be incredibly frustrating when it appears that we only get to a certain place and then we kind of plateau or get stuck or kind of stay in this limbo. What you want to do is, no matter how the interview goes, no matter what, it's maintaining that end state. It's going back to that no matter what. Even if you haven't heard a response in a certain allotted time and you think that you should have heard something by now, and because you haven't heard something by now, that means you didn't get the job. Don't assume that. Never assume that. This is where, once again, faith really becomes such an important aspect of this, because it may look like nothing is moving and changing out here. There may be zero evidence or indication that anything is happening. But again, that's why the 3D is a terrible gauge. We really want to make sure that we are focused on where we are internally. And anytime you have those doubts coming up, anytime that you start thinking, man, I'm stuck, I can't keep getting past this stage, I'm always stuck in this interview process. Well, that we want to take as feedback. That is really kind of where we are in consciousness. That's the state we're dwelling in. So we catch ourselves and say, no, wait a minute, I don't want to be stuck in the state of limbo at these jobs, at these firms. I need to go back to the end. I need to continue to immerse myself in that feeling state no matter what. And again, I know as we see time approaching, graduation's coming up, we're wrapping up our college days, and it can seem very intense. It can seem very stressful, but that is where, no matter what the 3D is showing you, maintain that end state no matter what. I've lost count of how many times it appeared like the 3D failed or my manifestation failed. It appeared like, for example, a job that I wanted, that I really wanted, and I had imagined for, fell through or I wasn't going to get. I've been flat out told that I didn't get the job, and nonetheless, I did not accept that. I didn't accept the premise. And a week or so later, the person who was going to get hired didn't. And so they called me as a backup. So it could be the 11th hour. Do not lose sight of that end state. And I know this is what we're getting acclimated to. We're not used to this, but we have to practice. And anytime we catch ourselves with that fear and anxiety, that's just feedback that it's time to redirect our attention and go back to that end state, no matter what. What do you recommend to someone who wants to start their own business but doesn't know where to begin or what to imagine? I want to be a successful business person with financial freedom. Thank you. Good question. Good question. And thankfully, you don't have to have all of the details. You don't need to know exactly the ins and outs of what that would look like as far as the steps unfolding. Not your job. None of that is your job. If you know the area of business, if you know and have an idea of what that would look like, you can gauge, you can go off of that. But even I would even start with something as simple as imagining a conversation, having an internal conversation with somebody, and hearing them congratulate you on your successful business. And really come back to that until you start to feel that reaction, that sense of satisfaction, that sense of accomplishment, right? I'm a huge fan of inner conversations, congratulatory conversations, because you can apply those to literally anything. And you can be as specific or general as you want to be. But that's how I would approach it, for sure. Hello, hello. The power of meow. I've told you this like 50 times, but your username always makes my day. The power of meow. Oh, that's so good. All right, where was my spot? Where's my spot? When's the book coming out? I can't wait for it. I hope there will be an audiobook version. There will be an audiobook version. Admittedly, I have not had a whole lot of time over the summer to work on that. I haven't been able to make a huge dent, although I actually do have it. I've been spending a lot of time over the past couple of weeks, kind of going over, goals and aims for 2026, and you know, restructuring and making changes to some areas that need to be making changes to, all that stuff, getting ready for the new year, as we do. And one of the things is finishing that book sometime next year. I'm about between a third and half of the way done. So, but I will absolutely announce it. I will be definitely letting everybody know when that book becomes available. Hi, Missy. As I still don't have much progress in my manifestation journey, I think I should go back to the basics and build my skills and confidence. What do you recommend, and how do I test on stuff? This is a fantastic idea. This is a fantastic idea. Sometimes, especially if we've been feeling frustrated, if we're not noticing a lot of progress and headway, going back to the basics, going back to the foundation. My big thing is making sure that our foundation is solid first, as in our self-concept, our faith, which there's always room to grow and evolve in that area. So where to start? Building faith. Yeah. And there's a couple different ways that you can do it. Yes, you can test this law by manifesting small things. You can use, for example, the ladder experiment, Neville's famous ladder experiment, which is a lot of fun, admittedly, and is quite a trip when it does happen. But more importantly than trying to manifest small things is really, and I mean really, just start to be more aware and mindful of the relationship between your inner and outer world. Because we want to start seeing that things happening out here are not happening by chance. They're not happening by coincidence. We're not just at the mercy of our circumstances. We want to really start to see the parallels, because that is the law in a nutshell. As within, so without. This is all just the outpicturing of where we are internally. So, and document, because we will forget. We will absolutely forget if we don't. So that could be a notebook or a journal. And I talk about this a bit in my last video that I released. Get a notebook, a journal, something that you can begin to, as you become more aware of these moments, these manifestations, if you will, you had a thought about something or reacted to something, had a hunch something was going to happen, and then it did. Write it down. And that could be for big things, small things, good things, bad things, doesn't matter. But document it. Or, if you prefer voice memos, you can absolutely go that way. You don't have to write it down, but come back in a couple of weeks, a month, and it will blow you away how many things happen by coincidence. We imagined something and then it happened. And you can only chalk things up to coincidence for so long before it's not. Yeah. So I would focus on building faith, and also focusing on you, focusing on your well-being, and coming to a place internally of satisfaction, of however you want to feel. If it's time for self-care, TLC, whatever that is, focus on you, because you have to come first no matter what. Definitely audiobook. You got it. You got it. There will be an audiobook version. Let me see here. Is it enough to just get into the serene state of relief while imagining various scenarios instead of looping a specific one? Also, SATS has been hard, but imagining while walking soothes me. Good question. It's absolutely enough to just focus on the state of, or the feeling of relief, the feeling of satisfaction, and that, oh, thank God everything worked out. Yeah, yeah. We don't have to imagine a specific scene per se. Again, there's no right or wrong way to approach this. It's about how we feel. It's about the feeling or the reaction and response that is elicited from the imaginal act. So if you find yourself better able to feel in that end state, if you notice that you're seeing much less resistance to this approach, then absolutely. Yeah. Hi, Missy. I've been regularly able to enter a drowsy state while trying to practice SATs. After deep breathing a while, I stop and begin to feel myself slip. Next, I'm falling and then experiencing dream images in my mind's eye. However, the most I'm there for has been 1 minute. Despite falling near to sleep, I'm aware of laying in my bed and my heartbeat. My question is that deep enough or not? Sure, I've made progress with being able to get there, but I can't stay long and I'm aware of my surroundings. Also, do you have tips on staying aware while tired when doing this before sleep? I do long meditation, which sucks. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I mean, I would say what you're describing sounds like you are reaching that state akin to sleep, especially that sensation of sort of falling or being, um, and the mind imagery that is coming up for you. And it is common to, once we get there, maybe we're not able to stay there for very long initially. Like we distract ourselves or something kind of takes us out of SATs. It's super annoying, but it is also super common. Um, and as far as going deep enough, I mean, it really, are you able to conjure the scene, or does the scene come to you naturally? If it feels, again, if it feels like that we're trying to force it, if it feels like we're exerting a lot of willpower, that's where we want to cease all of that. Take a much more passive approach. Was there another part of your question that I missed? Do you have tips on staying aware while tired when doing this before sleep? Um, it's really practice. Um, Utilizing something in your day to day, like a focused attention meditation, is going to be life saving when it comes to getting into SADS. and being able to hold your attention while in SATs. So there's a ton of, material and information out there on focused attention meditation, but I would be sure that you're applying that maybe once or twice a day for 5 minutes. You will notice fast improvement. Hey, Missy, how do you stop seeing something that you wish you had never seen and it's triggering you? Oh, I'm so sorry. Revision. And we can definitely touch on revision in our next session, in our next meeting. No problem diving into more of that. The plan was to anyways, but if we see something we wish we hadn't, we want to revise. And we want to continue to revise until the new revised memory feels like what happened versus the unwanted memory. And let me know if you want me to send you any more information on revision. I'd be more than happy to do so. Is it really possible to manifest an SP? Yes. Yes. I can speak from personal experience. Yes. And there are many, 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 many others who have done so as well. Missy, I can imagine easily during the day, but at night for SATs, I feel like it's too much pressure. Any tips? Thanks. Yeah, this is normal. Sometimes it can be tricky trying to do this right before bed, especially when it's still new and we're still very much aiming to get the hang of it. To be clear, we don't have to use SATs exclusively right before bed. You can do it at any time of the day. So if you find that daytime works better for you, then I would stick with the day for right now. As you deepen this practice and as it becomes more natural to get yourself into SATs, then you're going to find a much easier time before bed. But we're aiming to find the path of least resistance here when it comes to going to the end, when it comes to anything really. But I would stick right now to just the daytime hours if that is where it comes easier for you. And then as you practice and as it becomes something that is, more habitual, then you'll be able to apply it at other times of the day as well. Hey, Missy, what do you do when you're in the it's going to happen state? I've been doing very well, but after 2 months in that state, the when question hit me hard. Thanks. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And this is common, and this is something that we want to be mindful of because due to our conditioning to linear time, we're very, very accustomed to thinking that this thing is going to happen. We're very much in a state of anticipation or waiting, which is why we practice in imagination. When we are in the imaginal acts, we practice as though we are there now. We're imagining in present tense, experiencing what we desire, or seeing that implies that it has already happened. And putting seeing the world and imagining everything through your consciousness, through your eyes, what it would be like if it already happened. So in this case, it really is a practice of just that, making sure that we're not imagining to get an outcome in the future. We're imagining to experience it right now. Experience the feeling of having right now in present tense. And I definitely should make a video talking about that in more detail, because I know it's basically the difference between thinking of something and thinking from a state, from something. Yeah. Where was my spot? Hi, Missy. Happy Sunday. Is thinking from the end the same as living in the end? Is that what it means to occupy the state? Yes. Yes. Hmm. Living in the end, thinking from the end, same thing, essentially. Hmm. And that's what it means to occupy the state. Because whatever state of consciousness you're occupying, that's going to determine your thinking patterns. It's going to determine your reactions. It's going to determine your circumstances, naturally. But yeah, that's why we practice using our imagination, using our creative power to experience it happening now, being that person now, despite what the 3D is showing or what's going on out here. Is it possible to revise winning every argument I've been in and having good comeback to everyone who's ever came at me? LOL. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. You can manifest anything. That's the whole point. If you can imagine it, you can experience it, because it's a state of consciousness that already exists. There's already a reality or version of you that wins every debate, that wins every argument, that has the perfect comeback every time. That version of you already exists. Mhm. Where was I? You are welcome. You are welcome. Sorry, guys, I'm trying to find my spot. I try my best to stay in order. I really do. Um, where was that? Hey, Missy, how would you go about revising the environment you grew up in, the school I went to, and types of people there? I've been trying to revise interactions I had there, but it's been so painful. Mm. Ugh, I know. For revising the things that there's still a lot of emotional charge to, and things that can feel very triggering or upsetting. Um, we want to be really delicate with ourselves. We want to be very gentle with ourselves. And if you are noticing a lot of pushback, a lot of difficulty in imagining different interactions, or then perhaps starting with things that don't have such an emotional charge, for the sake of practice, for the sake of just getting the hang of revision. Because, like anything else, like any new skill, the more that you practice it, the easier and easier it is going to become, the easier and easier it is going to just come naturally to you, for anything. whether it was something big or something small, anything in between. So I would start with, just things that may not seem as emotionally charged for the sake of practice with revision. Um, that, and if you are able to get yourself into a SATS-like state, that will help tremendously with detachment, the detachment aspect of it. You're not going to notice as much of that, that resistance or the triggers that may have been coming up for you. So just 2 cents right there. But more than anything, we just want to practice getting the hang of it until it's something that we are just doing without even thinking about it. Let me see here. In SATS, can my imaginal scene be two friends talking about me? Well, I'm just listening and not part of the conversation. Would that still work? Yeah, yeah. In fact, Neville talked about this. I think he called it like the eavesdrop method, like eavesdropping on two people that are talking about you. Absolutely. Absolutely, you can. Happy Sunday. I woke up today with a sense of arrival that all is unfolding as it should. I feel all is guaranteed now. My imagination are spontaneous and positive. Is this good indication? Thank you. Yay! Yay, absolutely it is. That is fantastic. Hell yeah, that's a good sign. That's perfect. That's what we want to notice. We want to notice that feeling. What you're describing sounds very much like the Sabbath. That sense of everything is unfolding perfectly, not feeling anxious, not feeling stressed. And you're noticing that the automatic thoughts and the things that come up for you are ideal instead of, unwanted and intrusive. Yeah, this is good. Keep going. Thank you for the playlist. Absolutely. Absolutely. I hope you guys enjoy. Hi, Missy. How would I stay in the awareness that my 3D is different than it is at the moment? How do we stay in the awareness that your 3D is different than it is at the moment? If I'm understanding your question, like, well, the first thing that we have to remember is that imagination can take you anywhere, despite the 3D circumstances. You can be somewhere completely different than where you are physically. I could be physically here in my home in California, but in my imagination, I am in Tokyo, or I am on the other side of the world. But you can use that for literally anything, not just where you are geographically, but who you are as a person and what you want to be experiencing. Because the imagination isn't bound by linear time. It's not bound by anything. So it is understanding that, yes, your 3D is going to look like, when you close your eyes to imagine and then you open your eyes again, the 3D may not look all that different, but that doesn't matter. That ultimately doesn't matter, because it follows this. Your 3D follows what we do in here. Always. Always, always. So one way you can look at it as the 3D is a delayed mirror. How much of a delay? I mean, depends. Some things we can imagine and see almost instantaneously manifest, but yeah. I hope that makes sense. And I hope that answered your question. But it's understanding that you're not limited to anything or by anything in imagination. Nothing at all. Mhm. Can I sign up for coaching um, when I live in a different country? Yeah, yeah, absolutely. There shouldn't be any barriers. I work with clients and people all over the world. Shouldn't be an issue. Mm, Did I miss the first part of this? Hi, Missy. Lately, I've been feeling really calm about my SP. The urgency, obsession, and anxiety disappeared. Yay! Good. I still want the connection, but feels softer and grounded. How do I know this is embodiment and healing and not losing feelings? Thank you. Good question. So, how do you know that you're living from the end and not just giving up, basically? Well, because those are two different and distinguished feelings. Those are two very distinct feelings. Like what you're describing absolutely sounds more like living from the end. You're feeling calm around this circumstance, around this desire. There's no more urgency, obsession, and anxiety. You feel softer and more grounded, but you still desire the connection. That's how you know. Because if you're losing feelings or you're just getting over somebody, there's not going to be that connection there. Neville said something, and I'm going to paraphrase here because I don't remember the exact quote, but every idea has its associated feeling state. So there's very distinct ways we would feel in certain situations or circumstances. Um, a lot of times it can be jarring when we're no longer noticing this urgency. We're no longer as obsessed. We're not thinking about them 24/7. It could feel at first like we're losing interest in them. And that's not what's happening. What's happening is you are acclimating to the state of already being together because you wouldn't be having those feelings of desperation and urgency and anxiety when the two of you are together. So if the desire is still there, then you don't have anything to worry about. Enjoyed your last video, just what I needed. Thanks. Oh, thank you, John. And you are very welcome, good sir. I'm glad you found it helpful. I manifested my SP back for the third time. Oh, congrats. But still a lot of hot and cold behavior. He doesn't respond to text, says he will call me, but doesn't. He's in the US and I'm in the UK. I feel demotivated. Please. Oh. Oh, that is so frustrating. Yeah. And this is exactly why I teach how I teach. When I emphasize that this is about changing our self-concept first and foremost, that is ultimately the objective here, this is why. Is we may imagine to the point where we leave an impression subconsciously. We may see that out picture, like them coming back. But if I still hold the same fears, the same insecurities, the same beliefs around my person from that old state, from that old narrative, then I'm gonna continue to see this pattern playing out. So it's not enough to just, you know, see them with you physically. It's about, how do I feel? What do I want to believe and assume? What is the version of me who already feels and believes and assumes that I am chosen, I am prioritized, I am loved, this person adores me and I adore them? So I would focus right now on really honing in on that. Revise anything that left an impression or created a concept that they're hot and cold, they're unreliable, blah, blah, blah. We want to get rid of that narrative. We want to get rid of that first thing. So start to really put yourself in that feeling state of how you want to feel in this relationship. I look forward to our first coaching session after Thanksgiving. Me too. Me too. Very much so. Oh, sorry. Chat is jumping around a little bit. How does the universe test you? Um, the universe is not testing you. It doesn't, it, because it's not separate from you. It's not throwing things at you. Um, that it may feel like we're being tested, but everything is just the outpicturing of our internal state of consciousness, where we are dwelling internally. So if it feels like we're being tested, we want to really observe that feedback and see, where is that stemming from within me, so that I can go then change it. You are so welcome. Smart. Is Sabbath required to successfully manifest? You may not reach the Sabbath every time. No. I've seen things come to pass, before I was really there. Hell, you may see things come to pass when you're still having doubts and double-mindedness. Um, that being the case, even if it shows up, even if you get this outcome that you want in the 3D, if you are noticing inner turmoil, if you're noticing that you're still having some of those old fears and doubts creeping up, if you are still resonating or identifying with that old story, then I would definitely keep going, regardless of the fact that it's in the 3D. Again, that this really is about the change in ourself, in our self-concept. So I would keep going until you reach that Sabbath. That way you know something has been accepted and impressed as true. So you're not going to see things show up just to watch it disappear again. Yeah. Ask me how I know about that. Oh, thank you, Fran. Good to see you. Good to see you. I hope you are having a lovely evening. Hi, Missy. My manifestation doesn't seem to come through in 3D, and I've done all that I can do for it. I'm bored to only have my desire in 4D. It doesn't feel fulfilling enough. Mm. And to be clear, this is not, we're just imagining something so we can only experience it in imagination. That's not the point here. And I know some people, it can feel like, or become fearful that we're only going to experience it in imagination and not in the 3D. But really, we have to take the focus off of the 3D, because the awareness of the lack of what you want in the 3D is creating more of the absence of it. This is all what we are dwelling in. This is all where our focus and attention goes. If I'm constantly noticing it's not here, it's not here, it's not here, what state am I going to manifest, or what am I going to manifest from that state of it's not here, it's not here, it's not here, right? Because the truth is, and one thing that we do come to find out, and we do build our trust around, is your imagination is no less real than your 3D experiences. It doesn't feel as good in imagination because our imagination is, as Neville put it, keyed low. We haven't really exercised that muscle to the degree that we are capable of using it. We only use like a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of what we are actually able to do and experience in imagination. But in this case, we have to take the attention away from it's not here in 3D and focus on being the person who has it. That's because feeling is the language of the subconscious mind. You manifest what you feel naturally and assume to be true by default. So again, I know it can be frustrating when we're not seeing the results, but first things first, we really have to start to notice, what is my mental diet during the day? Am I identifying as the version of me who has this already? Am I really putting myself into that state and feeling it as though it's true? How can I manifest you? You'd have to go through my husband first. I mean, same way you manifest anything. That's silly. I love it. Let me see here. I found singing my affirmations to work very well because I find it fun and it gets me in a good mood. I love that. I love that. And yeah, that's an approach we can take. We want to have fun with this. We want this to be enjoyable. This shouldn't feel like work. This shouldn't feel like a chore. It shouldn't feel like we're, oh God, now I have to go imagine. I have to go do this and that. It shouldn't feel like that. We absolutely want to play with different ways of imagining that are enjoyable, that feel light. Is that we're going to want to do that. We're going to want to keep doing that. So that is an excellent. Thank you for sharing that. Do other people have thoughts and feelings in my reality, or is it just me? Um, I mean, absolutely other people have thoughts and feelings because they're people. Yeah. They're not robots or just, NPCs or whatever. No. Now, depending on what state you occupy, that's going to help determine their actions, their thought patterns, how they show up for you. So we want to be mindful of that, but yeah, they have thoughts and feelings. Missy, how do you revise your past? I would love to believe that my youth would have been better than it was. I revise a better past, but I keep falling into the reality and remember the real past. Mm. Honestly, we practice. We have to keep practicing. It comes through practice. Because as it stands right now, it sounds like there's still much more identification with the old past, with the old memories, which is normal. At first, yes, that is going to feel much more realistic as to what happened. Um, Definitely check out my revision playlist. That includes several videos covering this topic. So if you're new to this, if you are having challenges with this, I would make sure to go check that out. Just go under the playlist tab. But it at first this is normal. That's why we keep revising until that new memory feels like what happened. That new memory should be the first thing that comes up in a recollection when you think about the event. And if it's still that old story, if it's still the old memory, we have to keep going. A lot of times, one of the mistakes that I was making when I first started applying revision is I would only revise something, once or twice or a couple times, and that was it. But then it was also still very much resonating with and attached to that old memory. It didn't feel real for me, the new one. Definitely check out the playlist I made. I try to cover as many things about revision as possible and the application of it. Oh, where's... Hi, Missy. What to do when affirming and sats feels empty, like a lie, and the 3D makes you spiral and feel stronger than imagination? This is incredibly common. In fact, this is usually the area people struggle with. They're imagining, but they're not really putting themselves in that scene. That they're not living from that end in imagination. It's almost like you're daydreaming or you're thinking about something, um, and it doesn't feel natural. It doesn't feel real for you because it doesn't feel believable. And typically, this happens when we are conscious and awake and alert in our day to day, which is in huge part why I recommend that people practice and get familiar with SATs. There's something about the drowsy state that will allow you to imagine things with that degree of realness. It will feel much more real. We will be much more identified with the imaginal act versus our 3D world and our 3D beliefs. Similar to hypnosis, we have ample documentation of people that under hypnosis have been able to do things that they would have never been able to do while conscious. It is a very powerful way of sort of bypassing that logical critical mind and really allowing yourself to feel it real. Hey, Missy, have you ever had weird dreams that jump timelines? All the time. All the time, yes. How do I stay in the state when my manifestations are slowly coming true, very clear signs, but aren't exactly how I visualized it yet? I keep having doubts, even though it's happening. Yeah, yeah, this is normal, which is also why we cannot use the 3D as a gauge. If it looks like things are happening, great. If it looks like things are not happening, doesn't matter. It does not matter what is or is not appearing out here, what the appearance looks like out here. The importance is how you feel. How do you feel naturally? Are you identifying and resonating with what you are imagining in SATs? Also, I would be really focused on utilizing self observation and documenting to build your faith. Faith building is everything. That's how we're going to be able to persist. That's how we're going to be able to maintain that end state despite what the 3D is showing or not showing or anything in between. Can you manifest the impossible? Yes. Unequivocal yes. If you can imagine it, you can experience it. Full stop. Doesn't matter. As you were saying about the feeling of satisfaction being enough, I picked up a note card, and on the back I wrote, feeling is the most important, not specifics. Bingo, bingo. I love that. And very true. Very true. It's the feeling that counts. Feeling is truly the secret here. What's your thoughts on hormones and the law? I'm struggling today. Mm. I'm even thinking of giving up my cats as I can't imagine them as I can't manage them wrecking everything. Oh no, 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 no! Give them to me. I'll hold on to them for you. As as far as hormones are concerned, I mean, part of the human experience, what we are conditioned to believe, what we've always experienced so naturally. Once we sort of have that solidified, the idea that we are hormonal, that we have hormonal days, that's what we're going to experience. You know, it's that cut and dry. So you can focus on things if you wanted to, if that was something that you wanted to change, you could focus on something like imagining feeling yourself as somebody who is even keel, somebody who feels calm or neutral for the most part. I mean, as humans, there's we're not going to be perfect 24/7, and that's fine. But see yourself as somebody who feels calmer, feels more grounded, and feels more centered. Hear your friends and family tell you in imagination, you've changed so much. It seems like you are just really easygoing these days. Capture that state, capture that feeling. And don't get rid of your kitties. They don't know any better. But trust me, I've had days like that too. I'm not perfect, just like everyone else, especially when they destroy my house. I get it. I get it. But nonetheless, you can change that if that's something you wanted to do. With the state akin to sleep, does it have to be the exact same scene? For example, I see myself in the kitchen with a person I'm trying to work things out with. One day cutting vegetables, next day I am washing dishes. It feels more natural to do this while I'm in the kitchen and my movements change daily. So the scenes is always in the kitchen, but not the exact act. Feelings are stronger when I do this. Totally fine. Totally fine. Your scenes don't have to be identical. You can switch it up a little bit. As long as the thing that is implied is your desired outcome, you're totally good. You're totally good. And if it feels more natural to take that approach, then take that approach. How do I imagine being so rich I don't have to work anymore without other people finding out and being jealous? I can't get over the idea I have to hide my wealth. Thank you. I think this is a pretty common assumption to have. Other people are going to be envious of your wealth, of your abundance. Other people may even try to take advantage of your wealth. People are going to be harder to trust. These are common things that we can assume, or that common assumptions that come with the state of being wealthy. But that's the thing, we have to see it for what it is. It's just an assumption. It's not truth. It's not objective fact. It is an assumption. And assumptions and beliefs are subject to change because they're not absolute truth with a capital T. So, for example, here, I would imagine having conversations with friends and families and loved ones where they are happy for you, where they are supportive of you, where they're showing up the way that you would want them to show up, congratulating you on your success and your wealth. And even if it doesn't feel realistic right now, even if it doesn't seem like that would be possible, do it anyways. Do it anyways. Oh, where was that? I'm sorry, guys. One sec. Hello, Missy. I find it hard to take inspired action as I've made many mistakes trying to manifest a specific thing, and wasted a lot of time. Every action I take now regarding it feels forced. That's just the thing right there. Inspired action should never feel forced. If it feels like you are pushing yourself to take an action, then we wouldn't want to approach it from that way. Inspired action is going to be subconscious. You're not going to be aware that this action that you're being moved to take is part of your bridge of events. You're not going to see that until hindsight, until after everything has come to pass. That's what the quote Neville says, signs follow, they do not precede. That's what that means. That, before the manifestation or even on the bridge, you're not going to be able to see those signs and parallels until after everything has come to pass. So you don't need to. If you find it hard to take inspired action, it's because you're trying to move things along deliberately. You're trying to force that action. It's not the approach we want to take. Really, the only action that we're taking is in here, continuing to put ourselves back into that state in here as many times as necessary, as much as we need, until we notice a change within ourselves, until we notice that we are feeling different, that we are reacting differently, that we are noticing different thinking patterns, that we're no longer dwelling from that old state. But as far as 3D action is concerned, we don't try to make anything happen. We don't try to force ourselves to do anything. Not your job. Not your job. How and when did you actually buy the pearl? Good question. For myself specifically, I actually have made a video talking about this. If you go to the YouTube search bar and just type Missy Renee, how I bought the pearl, that video should pop right up. But how I did, I mean, that's just the thing. I didn't put a gun to my head and force myself. I just got to a point where I knew I had to either go all in or go all out. I couldn't keep straddling this fence. I couldn't keep putting one foot in and one foot out. That's why things remain inconsistent, or why it feels like we're stuck in limbo. I gave myself the ultimatum, basically. And when was that? Years ago. Many, many, many years ago. Probably coming up on a decade now. All right, I got time for maybe one or two questions. Really good ones today, you guys. Struggling with SP not showing up for a date and not saying anything about it afterwards either. Oh, boo. Yeah, that's not acceptable. No. Revise it. Revise that night. That instead you did go on the date. And you're telling your friend now about how amazing that date was. Which still constitutes as revision, by the way. That is technically revising what happened. But that would be my approach. Don't accept the outcome that you don't want. We want to change that in here. Where's my spot? I've been documenting all the signs. It's just the old story coming in often. Yeah, writing and documenting and getting these things out that we observe so that we don't forget is going to be immensely helpful with building faith. 100%. Why does Neville say 3 days, but then speaks of the appointed hour? Have you ever manifested in 3 days? This is an excellent question, because the 3 days that Neville was talking about and referring to was not meant to be taken as 3 literal days. He was talking about, in the Bible, the number 3 means completion. You know, it means everything completed. So when manifesting in 3 days, that basically what he was saying is you go to that end until everything feels completed and done for you. But that said, can we manifest something in 3 physical days? I mean, yes. Anything is possible. And I have seen things out of picture in a matter of days, sometimes hours. Absolutely, it's possible. But yeah, he's not talking about 3 literal days, to be clear. And looking at the time, unfortunately, do need to call it for today. But thank you guys so much for being here. Excellent, excellent questions. If I was not able to get to your question today, I am so sorry, but rest assured, we do this every Sunday. We come on here and we go live. So I hope to see you all next week. In the meantime, keep eyes out, notifications on. I'm going to be doing another video in my Neville lecture series. Got another video coming out as well. More content this week. So in the meantime, each and every one of you stay blessed. Never forget who you really are, and much love. Until next time. Take care, guys. Bye.